This is to ensure that the pressure inside the helmet never goes over 20 centimeters of water pressure. We connect to the inspiratory port. We connect to the pressure line. This is a CPAP, it's a closed system. We always want to measure the pressure being delivered to the patient. The helmet itself, we've got inspiratory and expiratory port on the port. It doesn't matter what way round. We have this little window which you can open if you need to get access to the patient, or if you need to talk to the patient or anything. On the front we have two more ports. We can put some tubes through these ports, and then we have a further pressure port on the side. This helmet's designed in such a way that it can be used for single limb application with this machine, or you could use it with a ventilator 2-limb application. When fitting the helmet to patient, there's a particular order that we have to put things on. Firstly, we remove the window so there's the ability to breathe without gas flow going. We usually use two people. One person grabs this side, one person grabs this side. We spread it out, and we set it onto the patient. Immediately once we set it onto the patient, we have our flow going. So select CPAP helmet mode, okay. The flow will default to 60 meters per minute. The oxygen concentration defaults to 30. So it's usually good to start there. It may be likely that you will have to decrease the flow to the patient. Yesterday we done a test where we defaulted to 60, a guy around my size, and we had to decrease the flow to 45 litres per minute to achieve CPAP of 5 centimeters. So we put it into the patient, we connect the tube, and we start the flow. So flow going to the patient. We put this on in a particular order. So bacterial filter first, then we have our 5 centimeter PEEP valve. This is continuous flow CPAP, so the CPAP will be determined by the flow going to the patient and the restriction valve on the end of it. So we're looking to achieve 5 centimeters with this particular valve. We connect the valve. It's quite big. We have redesigned the valve so for future, if you're using this and in the future we have a valve which is
smaller.
It's much smaller, much more nice. So we have the helmet on the patient, we've connected the flow going in, flow's going on. We have the bacterial filter and the PEEP valve. Finally, we then close the helmet. So this will be sealed around the patient's head, or around the neck.
Flow. You have to start the flow.
I didn't start it, sorry. Flow going to the patient. The helmet will then fill up. You have the seal around the bottom of the neck. We would then use the screen monitor to determine how much pressure is being delivered to the patient. So it'll tell you what the average pressure being delivered. At the moment it's 5 centimeters. If that was higher than 5 centimeters, then we would decrease the flow. To determine if enough flow or too much flow is being delivered to the patient, we would generally use the respiratory waveform. So we would set our parameters, our alarm parameters for minimum pressure alarm, maximum pressure alarm. If we're looking to deliver 5 centimeters of water pressure, the minimum alarm we would usually set to 4 centimeters. The reason for that is if the patient takes a few very deep breaths and the pressure is dropping, we don't want the alarm to go off or something like that. We would then set the maximum pressure alarm to breathing too much. We would set the maximum alarm to 1 or 2 centimeters of water pressure over our target pressure, and this is for if the patient starts to cough. So we don't want the alarm going off for no reason. Let me just show you. If I go into the alarm setting, Currently we're set at pressure maximum at 11, 12. What I want to do here is I want to set minimum to 4, so it will alarm if we drop under 4. And let's put this to 6 just so I can illustrate. Pressure. 6. 4. 6. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now we see that the waveform, the white section has got much less.
Yes, yeah.
So with this tighter section, we could use this to determine if we're delivering an insufficient flow or excess flow to the patient. If the patient's breathing and the waveform is continuously going under, so if it's continuously going outside of the white section underneath, then that means we're delivering insufficient flow. So the patient's struggling on inspiratory breath and not getting enough gas. If on the other side it's going above continuously, then we're delivering too much pressure, which means the patient will be struggling on exhalation, the work of breathing will increase. So what we would use this for, if it's too low, then we increase slightly. If it's too high, then we'll decrease slightly. It's to make the patient as comfortable as possible and to make the work of breathing as low as possible. Next, if we're going to remove the helmet, the first thing that we would do is remove the PEEP valve. Keep the bacterial filter on, but remove the PEEP valve. This lowers the pressure but maintains safety for people in the vicinity. The next, once the pressure has been lowered, we would then open the window and then remove the helmet from the patient. And finally, the last step would be to stop the flow of the device. So that is helmet. Might not be likely that you'll use it very often, but in case you do, that's how we put it on to the patient. We have these arm straps. Once the helmet's on the patient, there's arm straps to secure the helmet down. So we keep it pulled down. Any questions on helmet, or do you want me just to move to